I'm going to give you a tour of the Premiere Pro workspace. And to follow along, I want you to start up Premiere Pro in a slightly different way than we've done before. And this is the way we're going to do it from now on. Go to the Working Files folder and double-click on that to open it up. And inside here, open up the Projects folder, and then double-click on 0304 Navigating to open up that project. So here we are inside this project. I've already got some assets loaded up here inside the project panel, and I've got some stuff on a sequence inside the timeline panel, and we're ready to get rolling here. Now our workspace will look different than yours because we're working at a relatively low resolution setting in my monitor to make sure that the video that we make here for you at Infinite Skills looks sharp, that the fonts look sharp and look large enough that you can read them. If this were running at, let's say, a standard high definition amount of 1920 by 1080, these guys would be too small to be very legible. So we're running here at 1280 by 720, which is actually smaller than the required minimum for Premiere Pro, which is 1280 by 900. So we're kind of cheating things here a little bit. But we want to make sure that you can see things well when we make our videos here. Nevertheless, your workspace will look more or less like this. What we have here is a standard Adobe workspace that appears in most Adobe products. So if you've worked with other products, this will be old news for you. But let me just walk you through it a little bit so you can see some of the specifics inside Premiere Pro and how they relate to other products that you've worked with. Adobe workspaces are divided up into panels and frames. A panel is something that's accessed by these tabs, and then these panels reside inside these frames here. So here we have 4 panels inside one frame. We've got 1 panel inside this frame. We have some number of panels down here. I can't see the number because this little scroll bar says, there's more here to the right. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panels inside this frame, and then 1 panel over here in this frame. So that's how it's organized. And this panel and frame organization is important when you customize your workspace. And I'm going to talk about customizing workspaces in another lesson. Here I just kind of want to walk you through the various different frames and panels here. Well, the frames don't have names, but they do have these just locations here. Let's take a look at the panels. You've got this source panel with nothing in it. Well, this is a 2-up display, they call it, 2-up. And the way that it works is that the left-hand side is the stuff that you're previewing, and the right-hand side is your finished work, your project. So the left-hand side is the source, and to see something in the source, I just double-click on something that'll display it here on the source side. So these are things that I'm thinking about putting in my project. And over here is the finished project. This is called the program monitor. You can see that if I start rolling this guy. There you go. Let me turn off the audio here so we don't get that stepping on us later. There we go. So that's the finished project here, or at least the project that I'm working on here. Over here on the source side, we've got some other panels. Effect controls say what kind of effects have been added to a clip. If I click on a clip, there are effects already added to all clips inside Premiere Pro. On the video side or image side of clips, there's 3 effects added: motion, opacity, and time remapping. On the audio side, if audio is present, you've got volume, channel volume, and panda. Those things were automatically added to all clips, sort of sitting in neutral here, waiting for you to change them. Then you've got an audio mixer, 1 column for each track. So I've got 3 audio tracks, 3 columns, and then the master track here on the right-hand side. You can see the names down here, 1, 2, 3, and master. There we go. Then you got metadata. Every clip's got some metadata associated with it. You can have a separate XMP sidecar file with even more, but this has all kinds of information that you can add to this clip if you want to put some stuff down here. Over here on the right-hand side, you've got the program monitor. This is your project as you're working on it, so you can watch the video here, and you've got these transport controls that allow you to play through it, as you do over here in the source monitor as well. And I'm going to talk about the monitors in a separate lesson because you can customize how these guys perform. Let's go on down here to this large frame with all kinds of stuff in it. When you have more tabs available than you can see, you've got this little scroll bar that lets you scroll through them all. Here there are 6 different tabs. The project panel, which has all the links. The media browser that lets you look through the media on your system and see if you want to bring any of those files in. Info says something about each file that's selected. So if I go through, it'll change as I click on these different files. Effects are all the effects that you can apply directly to clips, audio and video. And then transitions go between clips, and they're all here stored inside the effects panel. You're going to put markers on the timeline, on clips, in the source and the program monitors, and then have those markers show up over here and use markers to help you do editing and do things like DVD authoring down the road. History says all the things you've done when you've started a project, if you've changed things. If I were to, let's say, trim this clip here on the right side there, then that trim would show up here inside the history panel. And if I want to undo that, I can just click back and undo it, or I can also turn this track back on. I turned it off a second ago, and now I can turn it off by going back. That's history. I've got 2 sequences here in this project. I've got the scenic sequence and the time-lapse sequence. If I just double-click on this, It puts the time-lapse sequence over here as a separate tab. So I can have any number of sequences over here on this side. Now, there are other panels that are accessible here inside Premiere Pro, not just the ones you see here. If you go to Window, that lists all the panels that you can open up inside Premiere Pro. And some of these guys you will open up depending on your circumstances. Capture you open up if you want to capture videotape, which you can open up this way or by going File Capture, like so. Or some other things here, for instance, you've got this thing called a reference monitor. Reference monitor is great if you want to use these scopes for color correction, and we will use these scopes. They're very helpful, so the reference monitor is great to have that at our disposal. And there are a few other items here that you'll open up from time to time. But this is the standard workspace that you'll see when you open up Premiere Pro for the first time. There are other preset workspaces that you can switch to, and I'm going to talk about those presets and how to customize workspaces in a different lesson.